All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to your Dawn of Autonomy podcast. I'm Dawn Zoldi, your host and the CEO of P3 Tech Consulting. We are in a month dedicated to the theme of R&D to real world ops. This month is sponsored by the Nation of Oklahoma. We love them and we thank them, especially James Grimsley, who was on the show last week. And this week, we have an amazing new breakout company called Couloir Labs, and Aaron Blue, their CEO founder, is on the net with us. So, everybody, I just want to tell you, I am live from Williamsburg, Virginia, obviously in a hotel room. So bear with me if I have some issues, but we are super excited, Aaron, to have you on the show today.
Very excited to be here, Don. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, Aaron, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background.
Absolutely. Well, I guess I'll start with the company. It's a little bit of a tongue twister. So Couloir Labs is based on a mountain feature called the Couloir. So come from the San Juan Mountains. So that's where all that comes from. Go Colorado, right?
That's right.
But my background, I've been an engineering manager for a long time and had over a decade of professional experience in product design. So I used to work with Modal AI, building out the Voxel 2 and helping out with some of the product developments there with Qualcomm on the RB5. And we've taken all of that work and all the background knowledge that I had working with Modal AI to now be a system integrator. So what we're working on now is integrating Blue UAS and NDA compliant hardware into small UASs and taking kind of our background knowledge that we've acquired from our team, doing a lot of CAD and mechanical design within the UAS space to help other companies to integrate drones and other ground vehicles, as well as autonomous systems
So,
across
Aaron, I've
multiple
got a
domains.
son that's and going to be an engineer, and I've heard of CAD. It's I think it's computer aided design. So not everybody out
Yes.
there knows that. I'm like an acronym police because having been in the military for as long as I have, I'm very sensitive to that. And all communities have their own acronyms. So CAD is computer aided design. It's like basically what all the engineers are using for designing robots and all kinds of things, components. All right, this is awesome. Tell us about your inspiration to create your company.
Yeah, it kind of comes from a long line of just wanting to create and build things. So I got into 3D printing through being involved with CAD. So with computer aided design, there's a couple different frameworks and different domains of knowledge that you can go down. So there's mechanical and there's electrical. So we use both, right? We do PCBA design with electrical CAD, and then we also do mechanical design we use Fusion 360 and Autodesk integrated products.
So you
And
said another
I've just
acronym. I'm gonna. It's PCBA. What is that?
a printed circuit board assembly.
Okay,
So
thank
we
you.
provide, yes, we provide services for custom printed circuit board assemblies, anything from little breakout boards that are maybe changing a connector from one connector family to another, power supplies and power regulation boards. This is an example right here of a voxel flight, which is from Modal AI on a custom Blue UAS that we are working on. Modal AI has a Blue UAS, Blue 2 UAS certification. Or Blue UAS version 2, I should say. And they're the only autopilot to my understanding. So we work explicitly with Modal AI. You're also seeing one of our partners, Momentum Drones, does all of our carbon fiber cutting. And that just allows us to focus on the integration work. So if anybody needs custom frame builds, we have the ability to outsource a lot of the cutting. And but anyways, back to your question of how I got into design. So I've been in computer aided design for a very long time. My grandpa's actually an architect, and I've been doing CAD since I was a very young child, probably like 9 or 10 years old. Was
Wow.
doing home CAD and doing like Autodesk type of work. Proceeded to do that throughout high school, and then was in art and did a lot of CAD and modeling and mold making. And when I learned about 3D printing, I met this individual who had been 3D printing a bunch in town, and went over to his house and realized that I could take all these models and turn them into reality. So from that point, my career very much switched from a lot of art and business. Was pursuing a law career as well. Didn't really know what I wanted to do, but when I saw the 3D
Hey,
printing,
most people don't, so that's
yeah.
not a problem, right?
So that was kind of my aha moment. And then I proceeded to go through a lot of different paths in my career, including a lot of software development and IoT work. So that handed itself nicely to all the 5G ecosystems that are coming out, as well as the beyond visual line of sight. So anyhow,
Wow. I was
that's
going to
my
say, Aaron,
background.
it's crazy. It's almost like your entire background is this theme of R&D to real world ops, because you were doing this stuff since you were 9 years old. That's amazing. And so cool that it was your grandpa, I think you said, that they kind of got you into it. So that's amazing. So, and by the way, everybody, if you don't know UAS is. I think most of you do. It's basically the Defense Innovation Unit's program to have safe and secure and reliable drones and components that are, not made by China specifically. So that's what the Blue program is about. And you're right, Aaron. I believe Voxel 2 and Modal AI's autopilot is the only autopilot that's been certified to the Blue, kind of phase 2, if you will, framework. So really cool that
Mhm.
you're still working with them, because you had started and kind of created your company out of that work. So that's amazing. So tell us, Aaron, as you set up your company, you're looking around. What problems were you trying to solve specifically?
Well, being a system integrator for Modal AI, there is a large backlog, I think, of ideas and platforms that haven't quite been realized with the upgraded hardware. So, what we're really trying to do and the problem we're trying to solve is to get the new hardware provided by component suppliers like Modal AI, and Arc Electronics is another excellent supplier. So, we're trying to integrate their new products onto airframes very quickly, and also create product lines that can grow with their products so that these things can get to market very, very quickly. There's limited resources across different companies. Modal AI is really focusing on the hardware design, the manufacturing, and they're just absolutely pivotal in making this whole entire industry move at this point. So the more work that we can do to apply use cases to their hardware, that's really the problems we're trying to solve. Is having people reach out to us and say, we need a solution for this. We need a smaller airframe. We need an additional payload. So we're trying to kind of be that middleman for people who have use cases, specifically in the Department of Defense and in commercial industries, where their current solutions are just not meeting the demand. And the other one would be people who want to move over to Modal AI. There's definitely been a lot of migration from other platforms, specifically ones that aren't compliant. There's a lot of waivers out there right now. So it's another big problem, is most of the solutions that are the most effective right now, most affordable, a lot of them are being used with waivers. So trying to get into a place where we're waiver free.
Got it. Got it. So basically, your team augments other companies' teams to kind of help them bring their vision of their product to fruition. And you guys bring that expertise right across a whole bunch of different disciplines to do that. And of course, your connections with Modal AI and some of the other Blue component and Blue framework type programs. Is that right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And our mission is really just to simplify the product development process. We by offering a managed or augmented team of experts to really just employ a cost-effective, iterative approach. So iteration is big, right? We have on-site rapid prototyping, and we work in agile methodologies that make sure that we're really repeating and cycling our work and making sure that we really can break it as quick as we can, right? So
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, maybe it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it to make it obvious. Um, so R&D is a big deal when you're talking about these different iterations as you're integrating. You guys are also testing. So tell us about a little bit about, your facility or how you're able to do all this.
Absolutely. We have, I don't know, we got about 3,000 square feet here. We've got 6 different bays that are isolated into different workspaces.
And
So
where's
right
here?
here,
Where's here?
this is this is my workspace behind me. Kind of programming, mostly hooking up the drone, getting into the actual shell on the device, and then doing some tweaking. Right now, we're doing some ESC tuning with one of
And
Modal AI's new
ESC.
ESC. ESC is an electronic speed controller. So
Oh, wow. Check it
here's
out.
one of the frames that you might have saw in the picture. This is being provided by Momentum Drones. And
Okay.
within here, we've got an ESC. That's Modal AI's new racing ESC.
Okay.
And that connects to each motor. And that stands again for an electronic speed controller. And what that does is it commands the motor's velocities, or really their RPMs, and it will tell the drone how to react based on the angle at which the different sensors on the board are relative to. So if the drone needs to turn right on the RC, right, that'll command the motors to accelerate on the left side of the airframe.
Okay. Gotcha. Now, where you're sitting right now, are you in Colorado as we speak? Is that where you
Yes,
guys are?
I am in Colorado. So we are in Durango, and yes. But to talk about
Okay.
the
Yeah,
facilities
that's
a little more,
awesome.
yeah, I guess to talk about the facilities, we also have some FDM 3D printers from Stratasys that we do a lot of our printing on. It's just a really good high temperature ABS that allows us to do a lot of 3D prints. We also have some CNC machinery and an entire just bay for doing dirty stuff, drill presses, band saws, CNC machines. So that allows us to do full carbon fiber and aluminum prototyping. So we were going to get into some product development very shortly and releasing a product that we're very, very excited about.
Maybe we can talk about that at the end, Aaron. So we'll keep them hanging by a thread, until they hear that towards the end. But so quite a maker kind of tinkerer space you have there. That is super cool. And not every company really needs to have one of those for themselves, so they can basically leverage your facilities, your R&D, your talent. Let's talk a little bit about that talent. You mentioned, electrical and mechanical engineers. What kind of other expertise do you guys bring to the table?
Yeah, so lots of different skill sets, right? The thing about drones is it's very hard to build a drone. It takes multiple different domains of expertise. So what you're seeing here in that image is a Voxel 2 autopilot. That's just an excellent, excellent product. And within there, the secret sauce really of all the Modal AI stuff comes down to the image sensors and all the sensor inputs that it can process. So we're very good at integrating different image sensors into Voxel 2. If you need different capabilities such as machine vision or visual inertial odometry is often used, that's using a tracking camera. And that allows different features such as GPS denied technology and other features that can do tracking through OpenCV and TensorFlow. The Voxel 2 actually has some onboard computing, quite a bit of onboard computing, 15 TOPS actually, which stands for trillions of operations per second. So these boards can
Wow.
actually process an immense amount of data. And what that relates to is we can get higher frame rates through the image sensors, and we can also post-process that data on premise. And that enables features like simultaneous location and mapping. In the
Oh,
background
slam.
of this, yes, or also known as SLAM.
Yeah.
So
Okay, that's awesome. So, I you mentioned it maybe in the beginning, but I want to be clear, like which industries you're focusing on. So we're talking about drones. We're also talking about robotics, and what you mentioned IoT or Internet of Things. Did I miss anything, or do you want to elaborate? Like, in other words, who's your customer base to use your facilities and your talent and your services?
Absolutely. We're really going after DoD. We're trying to get into some contracting right now, as well as just provide a catalog item that is able to just be straight sold over the counter. So we are going to have a frame coming out very soon. This is going to be the airframe. It's a 7-inch. It's typically kind of known as a Cinelifter design, but this is intended to be all NDA compliant. And I think I'm getting off track.
No, I don't think you are. So like that's kind of at the end of the day, like your target, right? But like for the
Yeah.
companies right now that want to say they're building their own drone, Aaron, and they want to incorporate the Voxel 2, Modal AI's Voxel 2 into it. You're going to integrate that for them, maybe do some other things with them. Who are those companies? In other words, drone companies, robotics companies, what other, like, are you working with, or can you work with ROV, remotely operated vehicle, the underwater vehicle people, the UUV, uncrewed underwater vehicles, the ROVs are tethered, the spot kind of dog robot people, like what are your kind of ideal customer base that, if I was such a company that I would want to call you to help me integrate some of these NDAA compliant blue components onto my vehicle or my product?
Yeah, that's a great question, Don. We are very, very specialized in the SUAS industry, right? So that's our bread and butter. However, these products have use cases across the board. We are working on a product right now that's integrating some image sensors from Modal, which will be an excellent product for anybody who wants to add computer vision to their system. So anything
Okay.
that needs to do object recognition, that could be a ground vehicle, a boat, it could be even just a static mast that is sitting there and taking data. So you see a lot of these computer vision systems being used in applications like lifeguard towers, where they might want to find a swimmer in
Oh,
distress.
wow. I never thought of
Yeah.
that. I would never think of that. Yeah.
Obviously, DIU is pushing hard on the unmanned surface vehicles. So, if anybody has a small unmanned surface vehicle that is in need of some autonomy, really any device that needs an autopilot. And when I say an autopilot, it's a device that can autonomously control a vehicle and understand its direction and heading and add autonomy to it. So we've worked on ground vehicles before with the Voxel system, autonomous ground vehicles. Absolutely, Don. Yeah, ground vehicles, drones, boats, it can all leverage the Voxel 2 system.
And I think we have an image of the voxel to again, or so let's go ahead and pop that up. And what are we looking at here?
Yeah, this is a couple different products. So here we have a Voxel 2 board, and that has got quite a few different image sensors. This configuration is actually running 6 simultaneous image sensors.
Wow.
And the Voxel 2, I believe, can run up to 4. They can run up to 6, but some use cases get a little stressed out on the cameras because of the data rate. So you have to slow things down. But this one, yeah, has 6 image sensors. It also has the Modal AI Flight Core V2, which is an excellent board. If you're just looking for a cheaper solution that doesn't have a bunch of vision on it, their flight controller board is wonderful. The price tag's coming in at like about $250, I do believe, right now on that board. Maybe 280 with some connectors. And that gives you really the baseline to build your drone out. That's where all your sensors plug in, like your GPS. But for this system, what we wanted a dedicated companion computer, which is the Voxel 2. And that is doing all of the image processing. Additionally, what we have in here is an arc flow sensor towards the back, which is from Arc Electronics. And that is giving us a distance measurement. So each one of these use cases for the clients that we work with will have a different set of objectives. For this objective, we were doing an indoor drone, so we didn't want to use a GPS. And everything that we work on, especially for our products, we work in what's known as like a GPS denied navigational environment. So most of the products that we will be offering will not be included with a GPS, but some people do need a GPS. So for that specific situation, we actually used an external flight controller, which is a very unique offering of Voxel 2, because if you have a current flight controller that you're using, whether it's an Arduino or a Cube or a Pixhawk, you can actually integrate the Voxel 2 into it as an external flight controller. So a lot of people think that they got to jump off the boat and just, change their flight controller architecture and go away from Arduino or go away from a certain architecture they're using. And it's not true. You can use an external autopilot and enhance the capabilities with a Voxel 2 companion computer to give you both image capabilities, such as thermal, such as a 4K camera, as well as modem capabilities. So if you want to use a 5G modem and do beyond visual line of sight, or Doodle Labs Helix modems, or a micro hard modem, those are all compatible with their system. So
Okay. Yeah, so we had Doodle Labs on the show back in January talking about the radios, and they're also a Blue framework company. So,
mhm.
Aaron, you're talking about GPS denied capabilities, and I think that's really critical today, especially today, and especially for the DoD, because we're seeing a lot of jamming and spoofing and the conflicts around the world, whether it's Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Hamas. I mean, this idea of the vulnerability. And first of all, everybody, if you didn't know, GPS doesn't work indoors. And also, I learned this working with Modal, doesn't work in places like greenhouses where those satellite signals are going to bounce off the glass. Certainly, is not going to work underwater. That's why they have sonar and other technologies to deal with that. Uh, it scanned to the. I don't know if you're tracking this stuff from space, which is, by the way, everybody, where GPS. The GPS is a constellation of 13 satellites owned by the United States government. There are other similar systems. The Europeans have one, the Chinese have one, the Russians have their own. But our United States Department of Transportation has recently put out a request for complementary position navigation timing systems. So in other words, something to back up or be an alternative to GPS if it goes down. And I mean, think about that. That's like mind blowing. And the other thing, Aaron, I don't know if you're tracking, the Defense Innovation Unit just put out a CSO. They're essentially their equivalent of a request for quotes and proposals on special communications devices that are persistent and resilient. So you're going to see more and more of this, and I think you're really smart to focus on those technologies that you can integrate into drones and robots and IoT devices that will be that resilient that they don't need GPS. Because sadly, we're in a world where our GPS is very vulnerable, and there are places, especially in contested areas on the battlefield, for sure, you cannot assume that your GPS is going to work. So good on you, I think, for kind of looking ahead and thinking through that. So, Aaron, I want to really kind of focus on your core capabilities. Like we talked about mechanical engineering, we talked about electrical engineering, and you alluded to 3D printing. So I assume you can do manufacturing. Tell us about kind of your laundry list, if you will, of offerings in terms of all the different services that you have available.
Absolutely, Don. So we offer full integration services for Blue UAS and NDA compliant drones, which means if you are needing a solution that's NDA compliant or you're trying to transition your current solution, we are happy to help bottom to top airframe design. So that includes CAD and all of the electrical design. We can do manufacturing. We do custom cables and converters as well. So if you need some custom cables made, we're happy to do that work within the scope of our contract. And we can do project management as well. If you needed someone to come on that's like, hey, we have all these different pieces and we just can't figure it out, we're happy to come on and just help you set up a roadmap for your company as a consultancy. And really just anything you need with building out drones and robotics, anything you can think of that a traditional engineering firm would do. We're anywhere from mechanical, firmware, to machining. We have capabilities to scale because of our partners. We have vast capabilities to scale if we needed to. And that's really core to what we do is our partner network. If there's something that we can't do, we have a partner that can do it. One of our partners is Ascend Engineering for the software side. If we have anybody that needs PX4 help or integration on anything that has to do with software, Ascend Engineering is an incredible group of folks. So,
well, you've got some powerful partners. I mean, the names you're throwing out are folks that I've heard throughout the industry or I've personally worked with, and I know I know they're excellent. And by the way, we've got Rob out there in Monterey, California, jumping in the chat saying hello, Dawn and Aaron. So hey, Rob, thank you. Rob's becoming a super fan. I think he's been in the last couple of shows, so that's super cool. So that's great. I did, I don't know if I blipped out or what happened exactly here. So I think I might have missed a little bit of what you said, Aaron. So tell me if I'm repeating something you said. I want to talk a little bit about how you leverage advanced manufacturing technologies to produce quality drone components in particular. I know you mentioned 3D printing, but what else are we talking about there?
in terms of the advanced manufacturing?
Yes.
Yeah, so I have a pretty set in my ways, I guess. Every time I go to design something, I typically start with a sketch. Maybe it starts on the whiteboard. It moves into CAD or, usually goes into a CAD program, right? Unless you're going to hand fabricate it. But these days we don't do that because 3D printing. So every design we throw into a CAD program, that'll go into a 3D printer. And if the strength qualities aren't there for the 3D printer, we really just go straight to aluminum. And if the aluminum properties aren't there, right, we address, hey, is carbon fiber a good option here, and so forth. So a lot of things that we build can just be used and manufactured on a 3D printer at small runs. And then we use a very, very good group that we have for outsourcing manufacturing that can do injection molding for us and tooling. So that's kind of the flow of things. We always start with designs internal and move them to outsourcing once they've been productized.
Wow, that's quite a repertoire of things you have there, gadgets and expertise. So let me ask you this: you're doing all of these things. How do you incorporate user experience or customer input as you're helping to integrate or even design new things for clients?
That's a great question as well. Well, feedback is key to any product development cycle. And sometimes you hear the feedback, sometimes you don't. We are very, very lucky that we brought on our chief business officer is an individual, Matt, who is an amazing individual. He's an active duty military personnel right now, and he's been guiding a lot of our product development for us, being that he's been on the front lines. It's an extremely valuable resource for us to hear from a defense standpoint, what are the big problems that aren't getting solved right now and how can we fill those into the industry? One of the big problems he's identified is the attritable nature of these systems. A lot of these drone systems, even the smaller ones, are costing hundreds of thousands of dollars per unit, right? So he's really been pushing, making things attritable, and other feedback coming just from clients is just absolutely, it's just crucial, right? So a lot of times the requirements are directly generated from the problems, right? You start with the problem statement and you try and create a product that actually meets those needs.
Well, I imagine it might be difficult at the same time to balance like the customer's needs and what they think they want with maybe standardization and other requirements. So is that a big part of what you're doing along the way, Aaron, is like advising people on like, all right, we know that the blue program requires NDAA, and by the way, that acronym means National Defense Authorization Act, and that is referring to Section 848, which was the section that levied that requirement on the Department of Defense that they couldn't buy Chinese drones or work with Chinese components for the most part. How do you do that balancing act and kind of help people along the way with like, hey, we think we want this, but you're thinking, like what the requirements are.
Yeah, we try to fit within an ecosystem that's already predefined. And like you said, that's standardized. Drone code is one of the big ones, right? They have the drone code standard. PX4 is everything we do goes through PX4. So when we have clients come to us, we try to put them into the path of, let's use PX4 autopilot products. Let's use, PX4 compatible sensors. And that really encourages them to save money and decrease their time to market, because we have companies like ARC and Modal who are writing drivers for specific sensors based on these platforms. So again, shout out to Drone Code, shout out to PX4 and all those contributors. It's also an open source ecosystem. So you've got a tremendous amount of people who have put a lot of time and energy to make what we have today. So ecosystems, standards.
Very important. I mean, I'm here in Virginia because I'm at the Drone Responders National Public Safety UAS conference, and we've been talking about standards and requirements for 2 days now, Aaron. So, this is another community that is very important besides the DoD and Homeland Security, of course, and just everyday life, protecting society. But I, you know, I want to ask you about mechatronics because that's a term that most people don't even know what it is. You mentioned both mechatronics and gimbals in your service offerings on your website. So tell us a little bit more about both of those.
Yeah, so mechatronics is really the melding of mechanical with electrical. So anything that has an electrical interface with a mechanical actuation is what you would consider mechatronic. So I had one of my previous companies that I was involved in. I was a co-founder of a company that did robotic arms and did a lot of 3D printing, as well as we worked on building an exoskeleton product, which had a lot of electromechanical components. So that's one of my backgrounds, is in building some advanced, multi-degree of freedom robotic arms. So when we say mechatronics, if you need a system that has a servo that needs to grab something, or multiple servos that need to work in concession, such as like a manipulator arm, that would be a mechatronics application. The other thing would be, things like gimbals. So, we're working on right now a product that's integrating some image sensors into a moving platform, which is known as a gimbal in this industry. So what a gimbal does is it balances image sensors, or actually allows those image sensors to move in concert with a set of motors. So there's a lot of advantages in adding mechatronics to robots, including drones. You might need a very, very specific problem to be solved. You also see drones that can do what's known as perch and prey. Perch and prey refers to a drone that actually goes and lands and has their image system active so that they can kind of eavesdrop on a situation, so to speak, while people don't know it's around. So within that cases, you're seeing a lot of drones that actually have mechanisms where they can grab onto things and hold on. And so if you have any needs for specific mechatronics, that would be absolutely in our wheelhouse.
Yeah, you know what? It's really interesting because we had Heaven Drones on last year. They're doing hydrogen. And one of the visions for, kind of a future iteration was this mechatronic idea and use case of solar farms and cleaning those panels where the drone would fly out, grab the panel that needed cleaning or replacing because it was broken, take it to a warehouse, the robots would do whatever needs to be done, and then it would
Wow.
fly back and replace that panel. I mean, think about that world.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah. So you're helping people with those kind of interfaces.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's incredible. That reminds me at CES in like 2013, iRobot came out. I think it was that year with a solar panel cleaner. And
Oh,
just
there
went
you
back
go.
and
Oh, I
forth
do have
and
to.
squeegeed it.
I,
But that seems a little more efficient.
squeegeed it. I will tell you, I was one of the early adopters of the iRobot vacuum, and I've got two Labrador retrievers, and it didn't quite work for me because like the little tiny baby receptacle on that thing does not like, and it kept getting stuck under my furniture. So it had its issues. It needed you, Aaron. They need you to like give it some different sensor capabilities to work a little better. Maybe they've gotten better over the years, but I gave mine to Goodwill, and somebody got a $400 vacuum probably for $5. But so any reveals, Aaron? We're getting towards the end of the show. I want to make sure that you're able to tell people kind of what they can look forward to from your company, and especially like something coming up at AUVSI Exponential, perhaps.
Yes, we have a lot of different products in development right now. So we have a big product release that we're going to be announcing at AUVSI. I will keep that under wraps for now. But before then, we're working on this frame. This is going to be our Talon C7 is going to be this airframe name. This one is going to include essentially a PX4 flight controller from Modal AI, and it's going to be a ready-to-fly drone. There's going to be some stats on it. I won't bore you too much, but it has an Express LRS receiver, which is a really solid low-power receiver on it. And then it's going to have a Modal AI racing ESC and some other features that makes it really, really zippy. And this is kind of known as a Cinelifter quad. A lot of people use these in the film industry. So this is going to
Yeah, I
be
was just going
released
to
on the
say
website. What was that?
what's the ideal use case for something like that?
We're going to be targeting this for indoor and GPS navigational flight. So something like this would be excellent for if you're a cinematographer to mount your camera on this. This is
How
also,
much will it be able to hold?
we're doing flight testing right now. We're going to see how
Gotcha.
much this can hold. Momentum Drones is also going to be offering a 10-inch version of this frame shortly. So
Oh, wow.
we're going to be offering a bigger unit as well. And as they integrate new airframes, what our business model is to really take their airframes and put Modal AI components on them. So if there's any customizations that are needed, we're happy to do them, but we're also trying to keep our product line pretty simple. There's
Yeah.
going to be the C7 model, which is just going to have altitude, hold mode, position mode, and mission mode. And what those are is those are semi-autonomous flight modes, and they pretty much come out of the box from Modal AI via PX4. So what that's going to allow people to do is get introduced to flying a lot quicker. And this is also going to be an open development platform with the Modal AI architecture. So you'll be able to use their software development kit. And this should be online in hopefully the next 2 weeks for sale.
Wow.
And it's also got an Arc Electronics optical flow sensor on it. But it's very nice. This is an enclosed rotor design, and it has bumpers. So the nice thing is if someone's not very experienced with flying, it's very easy to use and very robust.
Yeah. I
So
know you're focusing on DoD, but Aaron, I just wrote an article about mining applications and drones. And as I'm listening to you and looking at that thing, I'm thinking this could be an excellent. I mean, mines are so dangerous, and to be able to use robots or drones in there and help save lives, it's just so critically important. Like so many other use cases like that. But I could see where this could be with the right sensors on it, perfect for mines. So I will introduce you to
absolutely.
Vale, who's got a bunch of mines up in
Heck
up
yeah.
in Canada. They were in my article. So
Heck yeah.
yeah, that's super exciting. So 2 drones coming out soon. Other
3 drones actually. We'll
3.
have we'll have 3. So we'll have the CL7, the CLX, and the CLX Pro. So we're gonna have This version that you're looking at doesn't have any, it does not have modem capabilities, and it doesn't have vision capabilities. It
Okay.
has semi-autonomous flight, but this is going to be our entry-level frame for people who just want to get off the ground. There's going to be a system that has depth from stereo, which what that allows a system to do is have visual obstacle avoidance. So we're going to be offering frames that will also, when they approach an object, are going to slow down, which even makes the system that much more robust and allows you to go into things like slam. So we'll be offering a product line with kind of a succession, and we hope that this is going to enable people to purchase these drones and say, oh, you know, if I had this sensor on here and you did this, we could make it a product, or we could utilize it better. And that is going to kind of become our flagship product for different payloads.
Okay, great. And was there something else, because we're getting close to time here? I just saw you grab something you wanted to share.
Yes. So this is a pretty unique drone because, as you can see, there's a cutout in the middle. So we have
Yeah.
a very unique payload that we're going to be offering on that.
And that is that the thing you're going to announce at AUVSI Expo?
We are hopefully having that for sale. This is a prototype of our gimbal right here on our little test rig.
Look at you.
We're going to be offering this in a couple different flavors. And this is going to be likely, the arms are going to be mostly all machined in aluminum. We're going through our final R&D right now. This gimbal is going to be available hopefully by AUVSI, and it's going to be a PX4 compatible gimbal. So the idea here is we're going to have offerings that are going to include just the gimbal if you want to bring your own payload and actually attach a camera, let's say over USB. Additionally, as you can see, let me see if I have it. If you saw the image earlier, we're also going to be offering integrated camera payloads from Modal AI. So we hope by AUVSI to offer a couple different payloads. Yeah, Michael, do you mind going to the shot with the gimbal? I think it might be the last image. There you go. That square at the base of the bottom is an integrated camera. So the gimbal prototype that you're looking at is an NDAA compliant gimbal that has all onboard compute and an integrated sensor payload. So it's going to make integrating that gimbal much easier, and the form factor of it is very, very small. So this is going to be targeted towards small UAS. You can see how small it is in my hand.
Yeah, I can see, like, kind of in relation to your fingers, like the size of that. So we are getting questions from the audience, and we are at time. So what I'm going to do is ask my good friend Rob from Monterey out there to please reach out to Aaron. So Aaron, how can folks like Rob that have additional questions they want to ask you, how do they reach you?
You can just go to our website. We have a contact page and an email with a phone number on there. If you'd like to send an email to our contact email, it's just info@couloirlabs.com. And feel free to also shoot us a call. There's a phone number there if we're open during our office hours. We'd be happy to set up a consultation with you.
Awesome. Very good. And you mentioned AUVSI Expo, so we can expect to find you there running around the floor?
Yep. Expect me to be running around the floor with a drone.
All right, very good.
And some other fun
And he's
products.
coming to my Law Tech Connect workshop, so we hope you guys will too. You can meet Aaron on Monday before the floor even opens at Law Tech Connect. We did extend that early bird deadline, so for registration. So for only $249, you get to come to my thing Monday, my happy hour Sunday night, and 3-day Expo Hall pass. So check it out, everybody. We hope to see you there. Aaron, any final comments as we sign off here?
No, I really appreciate you guys having me. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Dawn, as always.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was great. I learned so much actually about what you're doing, and I think I hope so many companies take advantage of that. And I'm looking forward to seeing these awesome new drones and seeing it in person at Expo. So thanks, Aaron, and everybody else. Thank you for joining in. We are out here.